So I was reading the Power of Awareness chapter today by Neville Goddard, the one on the effortless way. And out of everything that he said, what stood out for me the most, which I would like to explore with you, is when he said, be still, brackets, least action, and know that you are that which you desire to be. Be still and know that you are that which you desire to be. Now, this makes a lot of sense because a person may think they need to do all these things in order to be who they desire to be, whatever they may be. Think this way, think that way, act this way, act that way. When really all these things happen naturally and spontaneously in flow. And so the way of life is flow. And you live the way by knowing that you are already that, as stated in Mark 11:24. Whatsoever things ye desire when ye pray, pray as though ye have received it. One translation has it as received it. So prayer is simple acknowledgement of being already that which you desire to be. Or as Joseph Murphy said one time, desire is prayer. Or as I like to say, desire points to fulfillment, or desire points to being. Anytime a desire arises, I am that which I desire to be. As if I suggest otherwise, if I have to do this or that in order to have what I desire, whatever it may be, think this, don't think that, do this, don't do that, it can imply separation from being. Everything exists as it is. Or I wrote this the other day on my school community. If you're interested in that, I'll link in the description to it. I said, the law just is. Everything just is. The law just is. Everything is perfect as it is. It is only in mind that the individual can assume otherwise. They assume they need to do this or that. Be still, least action, and know that you are that which you desire to be. That is it. Existence is enough, or we could say more than enough. Presence is enough. You exist. You are present. That is enough, more than enough. Being is enough. The way you are now. The way you are now. I purified the mind from these conditions that suggest I need to do this or that. Since 2004, first time I applied this information was to get out of $50,000 debt by knowing that I am that which I desire to be. Then I applied this information to move up in my corporate career, to start and build my IT business to success, and many millions of dollars were generated in the 3 businesses. And not just in business, personal life, relationships, etc. See, I don't look to this world for opinions as to what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say. That's illusory. You know the way. You know what steps to take. You know what steps not to take. You know what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say, and all of that happens naturally and spontaneously. It happens effortlessly and spontaneously from the sure foundation of being that already which you desire to be, having what you desire. Or as I say, desire points to being, desire points to having. Whatsoever things ye desire, pray as though ye have received it, and it will be yours. It is yours. It just appears this way, whatever way, this way, that way. You know, even when I wrote my book, The Direct Path to $1 Million, Turn What You Already Have into a Fortune, as I was putting together the book, it was key for me to not throw bias into the book, even though it's a business book, as to how it should be, how it needs to be. It is not a book where I tell you what to do, not do, think, not think. It is a book based on personal experience and how it played out for myself and the people that I've worked with and the thousands of entrepreneurs that I've seen along the way, worked with along the way, friends, etc. Yet Those are just some ways from the infinite ways. Some ways from the infinite ways. I can call them least action ways. And the only time it didn't feel like it was least action and force-based was when I, as a result of identification to a particular condition in mind, thinking from a faulty premise, unsure foundation, that I wasn't that which I desired to be, which is illusory. You exist, presence, being is enough. Be still. You can do nothing to be still. Being still is who you are. No technique is required to be. You are that which you desire to be. You are that still I am presence, that pure awareness, and your real nature is fulfillment. You are fulfilled simply existing. Existence is fulfillment. But then a person might say, wait, if existence is fulfillment, then why do I need to have this or that in order to be fulfilled? I say, great question. You don't need this or that in order to be fulfilled. You are fulfilled. All these things that you desired happen spontaneously, effortlessly, and naturally. That is reality. Reality just is, or as I say, everything just is. The law just is. Everything spontaneously happens. Naturally it happens. Path of least resistance. So then a person might ask, why does the individual take a path of stress, force, frustration, looking around to what other people are doing, asking for opinions in this world as to how to live? Well, we could say they're not really thinking for themselves. They don't know that they have the answers within. But that's okay. No shame, no condemnation. That's just a result of illusory conditions in mind. The conditions that suggest that this world, the world made visible through the five senses from imagination, knows the answers. That's an illusory thing to suggest. Why? Because only you can suggest what these appearances are suggesting. Everything just is. These appearances don't actually suggest. People don't suggest. The news does not suggest. Books don't suggest. Nothing suggests. It is only the individual in mind that could suggest what these appearances mean. So, if I look to this world as to what to think, it doesn't make any sense. Only I can think in my mind. You have been given the two gifts as stated in the Hermetica, mind and speech. And with these two gifts, you could really think for yourself. And what do I mean by really think for yourself? Well, you know that you are that which you desire to be. You found it in the form of desire. Desire points to fulfillment. You are that. Be still, as he said, and know that you are that which you desire to be. Spontaneously what happens, naturally what happens, are the thoughts from the premise of fulfilled desire. So practically speaking, in relationships, no matter what a person says, does not do, does not say, it doesn't change the fact that you are that which you desire to be. If you think otherwise, then you are not really thinking for yourself, and no shame, no condemnation. We naturally put off the formal conversation when we know in the moment that pure awareness, real nature, fulfillment, or another way of saying it is, in Genesis 1:3, it states, and God said, the light shall be, and the light was. That's the Peshitta Aramaic Bible translation. The Peshitta Aramaic Bible translation. One of my favorite translations of Genesis 1:3. And God said, the light shall be, and the light was. The light is pure consciousness, completely fulfilled. All these things appear to be in perfect harmony. So, knowing that you are that pure awareness, you also know that you are completely fulfilled. Anytime a desire arises, it points to the fact that you are already fulfilled. Now, the way it plays out is all these things appearing to be in perfect harmony, which you call it fulfilling relationships, fulfilling business, fulfilling life experiences, and it all happens spontaneously, naturally in flow without interference. Or I could say, without generating interference patterns. Everything just is. The law just is. So naturally, you put off the former conversation. As you know, you are that already. That still I am presence, the video that I did with Danielle Lynn. If you haven't seen it, I'll link in the description to it. On Thursday, I mentioned in there, find out who is and be as is. Pure I am, still I am. That is who I desire to be. That is who I am. So in other words, you can say, okay, I desire to be as I am. Of course, that is all that you desire to be. That is all that you desire to have. And you are it. And your real nature is fulfillment. So desire points to fulfillment. Now, what ends up happening? So I put a post in my school community about this yesterday. In my book, I call it Effortless Millionaire Mind. You witness that relationships and all these things that I talk about, for example, on my new entrepreneurial channel, if you're interested in that, I'll link in the description to it. The physical assets, like whatever physical parts of the business, real estate, etc. The digital assets, videos, blog posts, you name it, anything digital. The intangible assets, the knowledge, wisdom, expertise, reference experience, and the relationships, the business partners, the vendors, the prospects, the clients, etc. Without interference patterns, it is clearly known that everything just is, the law just is. They all appear animated, they all appear to play the perfect role. Spontaneously, naturally, the clients show up. Spontaneously, naturally, that which you're looking for in the areas of how I like to segment entrepreneurship, innovation, sales, marketing, operations, finance, leadership. These all get taken care of naturally, spontaneously. Path of least resistance. Even as I mentioned in the book, the areas, when we look at it from a consulting perspective, optimization, automation, delegation, elimination, even those things happen spontaneously, naturally in flow. You're not trying to do these things, they happen. It's a very precise statement. You're not trying to do these things. You're not trying to be. There's no in between adding something in order to. It is, and it naturally happens. So you may notice, I've seen this happen many times. You may say something or do something that has never been done before. And, as we say, people reflect. So you take the step, and this individual says, why do you take the step? If there was a condition that suggests doubt, this spontaneous, natural step, which you could say might not make any logical sense. The person may identify with a condition in mind that suggests separation, and they may experience doubt, hesitation. In that moment, I put off that former conversation. It's so clear what's going on. I naturally take the step like I was naturally going to take the step anyways, without the resistance, without the thought of, oh, should I not do this thing that I genuinely desire to do if it doesn't make any sense? So you take that step, you take the next step, and even that could sound like things to do. Take the step. The steps happen spontaneously, naturally in flow. They spontaneously and naturally happen in flow. I trust you experience this. This, what we're talking about here, is not new to you. We can refer to this as non-doing. This is the way. The effortless way, the natural way. That's the experience. It feels effortless in the body. Emotions arise, subside. Thoughts that suggest otherwise, as mentioned with the example, appear to disappear. You don't identify with them. And then the result happens. All of a sudden you acquire the client. You meet the ideal relationship, etc. You don't identify with thoughts of conditions in relation to the appearances. As mentioned, the appearances suggest nothing. They don't. It's only the thoughts in mind that, if identified with, generate the experience corresponding the thoughts identified with. So you don't identify with the thoughts of lack, limitation, not being, not knowing the way, etc. You know what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say. That is what he's talking about here. Again, I was going through this entire chapter, and I've read Power of Awareness many times. You and I have had discussions about this over the years many times. This is the part that now stands out to me from the entire chapter. This is the one area my attention naturally goes to. Naturally. Be still and know that you are that which you desire to be. That's enough. Desire arises, thank you, I have. Or desire's prayer. Instant fulfillment in the moment. I like how he says, the principle of least action governs everything in physics, from the path of a planet to the path of a pulse of light. So there's this book called Power of Kabbalah by Yuda Berg. It's one of my favorite books. And he says in there, don't react, the Creator sends the light. So there's no need to react when you know that you are already that which you desire to be. So the light is consistently and constantly appearing, unfettered. And as mentioned, in entrepreneurship, it appears as, if I connect the dots looking backwards, from my experience, like Steve Jobs had said in his commencement speech, connecting the dots looking backwards, I could see that clearly. The relationships, the physical assets, the digital assets, the intangible assets all appear to be in harmony. The innovation, the sales, the marketing, the operations, the finance, and leadership took care of itself. See, a person may think, how am I going to do all these things? And they may look to this world for opinions on how to do these things. No shame, no condemnation. If they don't really relate to this world from the premise of fulfillment, they may doubt their intuitive ways and then do a bunch of things which feel stress and force-based, which is up to the individual. So you have a choice. You can do things in a stress or force-based way, or you could do things in a natural flow-based way, which is the way it's done for you. So it's interesting to say it. You could do it in a flow-based way, yet all these things happen naturally, spontaneously, through non-doing. Non-doing refers to not doing the unnecessary. I don't worry about those things. Everything happens naturally, spontaneously, effortlessly, in flow. And as I continue to be as I am, mind is purified, because these conditions do not represent you if they suggest that you are not that which you desire to be. Now, stress, frustration, force-based, as mentioned, the individual has been given the two gifts, as stated in the Hermetica, mind and speech. Unknowingly, they may have placed these conditions generating the stress, the frustration, the force-based, and they might think that that's the way to get whatever they want, stress, force-based. Or even they might think a mix and match of stress and flow, like sometimes it's flow, sometimes it's stress, sometimes it's effortless, sometimes it's hard. Whatever you'd like. Now we're at the point where we know where we can choose. So if the individual would like it to be stress, force-based, frustration, no shame, no condemnation. If they would like to have it fun, joyous, effortless, flow, no shame, no condemnation. Some individuals unknowingly live in flow, spontaneously, childlike. Some individuals unknowingly identify with stress or force-based conditions in mind and think that that is the way. And so they have a choice. And so once I knew that I have a choice, I could either experience the flow-based journey or the flow-based bridge of incidents by knowing that I'm that and abiding as that, and I am that, as he said, be still and know that you are that which you desire to be. What happens naturally is the effortless path of least resistance, flow-based bridge of incidents, and then the results happen, whatever it may be, business, personal life, etc., etc., etc. And why is it effortless, fun, joyous, flow-based? Because the way it plays out is one without doubt. So let's go back to what was said in that book, Power of Kabbalah by Yuda Berg. Don't react, the Creator sends the light. You simply exist beyond reactivity. You simply exist beyond doubt. and you're completely fulfilled existing. So this is what I found to be very helpful. Knowing that existence is the fulfillment, is the love, the happiness, the peace, the joy, not for this or that reason. Resistanceless. No resistance, no doubt. Existence is more than enough. I simply exist. So there's no interference patterns then generated. Conditions fall away. Any thoughts that suggest otherwise appear to disappear in mind, and so do the beliefs in mind that are generating those thoughts disappear as well. So mind purification. They dissolve. It said, then I remain in flow. You and I are no different. You do the same thing. This is the natural way of being. If we look back to the Peshitta Aramaic Bible translation, and God said, the light shall be, and the light was. The light shall be, and God, I am that pure awareness, and the light, pure consciousness. And so living the way is essentially, I am that pure awareness, experiencing my real nature in consciousness as fulfillment. And that's what desire points to. So you can say it this way, I came here to live a fulfilling life. So it's up to the individual. Stress, force, frustration, confusion, fulfilling. That's up to them. Now they have a choice. Release those conditions, and the way naturally emerges, spontaneously, effortlessly, joyously. And why is that the case? Because you're not looking to these appearances for fulfillment. You're not looking to these appearances for fulfillment. So what happens is, as you know that you are fulfilled, no interference patterns are generated. The wanting, needing, waiting, craving ceases. It does not exist, you could say, because to you there's no separation. So what is there then to want, need, wait, crave, etc.? You are already that which you desire to be. You have what you desire, so you want, need, wait, crave nothing. That is you being still. So be still could sound like a thing to do. Be still, you are still. All these things appear, the body appears to you, the mind appears to you. You've been given the two gifts, mind and speech, inner speech. So the words appear to you. So these are appearances. The world, this is the world of appearances. The world appears to you. The people appear to you. So if you use the example in entrepreneurship, the physical assets, the digital assets, the intangible assets, the relationships, everything appears to you. And they all appear to be in perfect harmony. So they're not in conflict with you. You know, in my communication program, I call it what's in it for we, or we could say what's in it for us, because we are all in perfect harmony. We can call it harmonious relationship. Harmonious relationship with the physical assets, the digital assets, the intangible assets, the relationships along the way. So everything appears to be in perfect harmony, inner and outer as one. That's the experience in flow, inner and outer as one. It's not like a person's thinking inner world versus outer world, now I need to think this and do that, inner world. That's a lot of work. Everything happens naturally, spontaneously, effortlessly in flow. Because you know you are that which you desire to be. So any kind of thoughts that suggest otherwise in mind appear to disappear. Mind purifies. They appear to you. They're appearances. You are prior to the thoughts in mind. You are prior to the emotions. You are prior to the body. You are prior to all these things. Now as stated in the Bible, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. All these things will be added unto you as it was in the beginning. As it was in the beginning, Genesis 1:3, and God said, the light shall be, and the light was. Perfect as it was, as it is now, as it ever shall be. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's stated. They all spontaneously, naturally emerge without trying. That is you being still. Now, this might be confusing to the person who thinks in terms of force or stress or frustration. They might say things like, oh, I need to do my sales. I need to do my marketing. I need to do my operations. I need to do my finance. I need to do my leadership. I need to optimize, automate, delegate, eliminate. I need to prospect, lead generation, client acquisition. Again, no shame, no condemnation. That's one way of looking at it, because you can identify with whatever condition you want in mind, because you have the gifts, do gifts, and you can place whatever you want in your mind. You can place conditions in mind. You could remove conditions in mind. Whatever you'd like. It's up to you. Now, what we're talking about here is the effortless way. It happens naturally then, all these things. So you're not trying to do these things. They just happen. So my attention, perfect example, out of all the things that he said in this chapter, why is it my attention goes onto this one now? And I've read this back in the days over and over again. I've been applying this information since 2004. Why is it that my attention goes here? Be still and know that you are that which you desire to be. That is enough. I am enough, or I am more than enough. You can say it that way. You are enough. You are more than enough. That is all that's required. Well, guess what? You meet that requirement. You exist perfection. You exist fulfillment. I trust you know what's being pointed to here. That which is prior to the word. So all these things appear to us, yet we are prior to that completely fulfilled. Now, knowing that all these things appear, the individual is aware of what they think in relation to the appearances. So that's where the interference patterns are generated, in the thoughts. So here's an example. Let's say a person in entrepreneurship was doing some prospecting. Everything happens naturally, effortlessly, in flow. Part of the theater, the grand play. They naturally desire to do it. No one's forcing them to do it. Intuitively, they know that's the way. So they sit down and they send out a bunch of emails. And they are not attached to whatever the outcome is because they know everything is in perfect harmony. They acquire clients, some want to do business deals, some introduce them to people, referrals, etc. Everything happens naturally, spontaneously. But let's say they genuinely desire to do that, and that is part of the play, and there's resistance to doing it. No shame, no condemnation. Put off the former conversation. The former conversation are those thoughts appearing in mind that appear to disappear, that if identified with, generate the resistance. So the resistance is something like they're afraid to start the conversation with the person. They're looking around and asking people, how should they do it? And as mentioned, although what people can say can be helpful, you still are the one, the only one in your own mind. You have a mind that can imagine, that can think what people are saying to you and how it relates to you. So if a person says, you have to do this, or this is how you should do it, or this is how I do it, if the individual thinks that's the way to do it and it doesn't feel right, and then they force themselves to do it, they might think, oh, this is stress-based, force-based, prospecting doesn't work. That's illusory. The way that you know works. That's why Steve Jobs said it in his commencement speech. Don't let the noise of opinions drown out your own inner voice. So I do it my way, which is the best way. My style is the best style. Your style is the best style, which is why also in my book I say, your way is the best way. This is what I mean. Your way is the best way. Now, you may have a conversation with someone, and they may say it in a way that you relate to within and say, oh yeah, that is helpful. So you see, in both of those two scenarios, you are still the only one in your own mind that is relating to the appearances. That's why I always say, for example, when I do coaching, consulting, conversations with friends, even dating and relationships, I say, how do you relate? And sometimes they never heard that before, and they might say, what do you mean by that? And so we explore. And they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because I, as the individual, I'm the only one who can relate to appearances. So I'm curious as to how they relate to appearances. And all I'm interested in is the path of least resistance, the relatability points, you could say. So in prospecting and lead generation, client acquisition, etc., all we're doing is we're just relating on the harmony points, which happens naturally, effortlessly, spontaneously, by knowing that you are that which you desire to be. Or you could say, it just appears like we're going through this journey of relating in this way. So practically speaking, then, it plays out as the individual has a conversation, prospecting, lead generation, naturally, effortlessly, fun, joyous. It's like making these videos. I'm not trying to make these videos. I don't run out of ideas to make these videos. It naturally happens. Spontaneously it happens. I never run out of ideas to talk about. It's another thing Danielle, Lynn, and I talked about. I'm going to link in the description to that video. Why is it? Because desire means having. Desire points to fulfillment. It doesn't point to stress, frustration, suffering. It's the wanting, needing, waiting, craving, which is generated by conditions that can be dissolved by no longer identifying with those conditions. And then the light shall be as the light was. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You can say, I remain as I am, still knowing that I am that which I desire to be, that I have what I desire, from which everything spontaneously, naturally arises. What I do, what I don't do, what I say, what I don't say, people, environment, information, etc., all appears to be in perfect harmony with me as I am in harmony with all, living the way of life. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.